Good morning and welcome to another live Fiberific craft and chat. So we had a bit of a technical glitch this morning. I've just realized I'm not centered. That will be messing with Kim. So I'm just going to jump over here to the comments. Good morning to everybody who is here. I've just realized there was something I wanted to add in. Yes, it's there. Good. Okay, so this morning the internet wasn't working. We've got rainy weather. It's all crazy here and the internet didn't work, but it is working for now. Okay, so we are good to go. The people who see me, do you hear me, is another good question. There was some updates through all the different softwares, and I ran them all yesterday. So I think I double checked to make sure everything was working, but you know, it's live and things happen in lives. It's just what goes on. Good morning to everybody who is in the chat. Well, good evening if you are not in the Australian time zones. I have turned the aircon off in here. It's quite loud this morning, so it's warmed it up, but it's not still on. Everyone can see and hear me. Awesome. Thank you so much. So, you know, I have a routine. I have a routine that I get into before live craft and chats, but this morning my routine was a bit like at the window for a start. We have a little bit of a temporary lockdown here in Brisbane, so my husband is home working from home. So I am not sharing the house internet so he can work, and so I also don't have to run a cord across the floor because he is expecting a delivery of a new TV. So he has purchased a new TV for the family living room. So we'll see how that goes. It sounds quite large. It sounds like quite a large TV that he has purchased. So we will see how it goes. So there was a flurrying, and those of you that follow the channel a lot, you guys know I'm allergic to dust. So my head is a bit like, and I feel like I'm just getting ready to sneeze at any minute. So I've got that itchy nose thing going on from all the dust. Oh, I hear you, but you sound funny. Oh, wait. You're Australian. Good job, John. Good job. So I'm just having a quick read through the chat. Lisby is in bed. Hey, Lisby. How are you going? I hope you're feeling better soon. We all know that size matters. It does. It does. As crafters, size definitely matters. Let me see. John says, "Ooh, large TV, how big?" I picked up a 55-inch during lockdown. Well, it's a 65-inch. I've never had a TV that big ever in my entire life. I don't even know if houses require 65-inch TVs, but apparently we've got one coming. So it's coming during the live stream, so I couldn't have cords running across the entryways and things like that because delivery men and all those sorts of things. So so today's tea, I have tea in my Fiberific Hedge of Ninja mug. If you would like your own Hedge of Ninja mug, I'm working this out. Here we go. If you want your own Hedge of Ninja mug, you can pick it up from redbubble.com. The Fiberific store has lots of different things that you could have. I'm just going to drink some tea. That's good tea. I have mint sliced tea again because that was so good last week. Honestly, it was just too good not to have. So it will be I will be enjoying it. So this is the mint sliced tea from Tea for Talia, who is an Australian tea maker. She jumps into our chats. Nat Power is our in-house tea maker. John has that mug. I would love if you guys shared out photos of yourselves with your merch. I would love to share them over on my Twitter account. That would be so much fun. Only if you want to. Only if you want to. Now, there's something I wanted to start as a regular, not segment, but, you know, portion of our live streams. And one of the things I want to do is to be able to thank my Patreons, because without the Patreons, these live streams probably wouldn't be 2 hours long every single week. Now, they would still exist in some shape or fashion, but they would not exist in the way that they do. Okay, without the patrons, we wouldn't have been able to upgrade the annoying. You guys remember, you know, face cam is turned off, and we'd have to like reach over and fix it. Without the patrons, that wouldn't have been able to be fixed when it was fixed. So I have made a pretty thing. I hope it works. you will soon see. And it is a list of our Patreons. Now, this list is not like everybody, because I did send out a message to the patrons asking for their permission hang on, I want to hide that. There we go. Asking for their permission before I put it up. Now, I have changed the conditions of the Patreon account so that anybody who joins up, your name will automatically be added to the list unless you specify not. I do know there is Josephine Phillips, who got back to me last night, who I didn't have time to add to this, so it will be added next week. We've got, let me have a look here. We've got, Kathy's got 2 mugs. Go, Kathy. Where are we? Oh, Claire is here. She won't be long, but because she has to go out. Leonie is here. Let me look. Kim Scullen, who's that? Yes. Well, you didn't specify if you wanted a different if you wanted a different name. I mean, I can change that to Chaos Creator if you like. So if you want your handles rather than your names that up here in Patreon, let me know and I'll fix all this up. I really love Patreon, and I think it's an amazing way to support the creators that you love and that you want to continue on. Now, I also 100% understand. I'm talking to the camera and you guys can't see me. Hang on a second. Brand Corn. There we go. Click that off. Okay. So I also 100% understand that not everybody can do this. And so down in the description below, there should be an option. I didn't double check it this morning because I'm a numpty. There should be an option for that buy me a coffee. And that's a one-off transaction. That's not a monthly transaction. So if you guys want to do that, you can do that. There's so many options. Sally has popped in a link for how to become a Patreon. It's just patreon.com/Fiberific. We don't need the posts in there, but I mean, that'll work. I'm just having a quick read through the chat because I've got 2 different chats up running. One thing I did do, okay, I do have a topic for today, okay? But after last week's live stream, towards the end of it, if you stuck around right to the end, you know we had some big hardcore discussions about how things look, things that we could change, things that this new software can do. See, when we can, flip up everybody's comments, like this where Game Widow says, here's my name. I can flip these up because of this new software that I'm paying for. It's a monthly cost, but I think it's worth it. What do you guys think? Anyway, so one of the things that we tested out, and because I'm tossing up whether to spend the money because it's a big decision, is a third camera. So last night I set up an optional, just so that you guys could see what I look at while I'm live streaming here. So I just want to throw that up because I know a lot of you don't care, and I get that. And I'm sorry if we're not talking Yarny stuff yet, but I'm a Yarny nerd, hardcore nerd. All right. So last week when we were all talking the nerdy stuff, I ran away writing lists of things that we could do, getting things sorted out. It was so exciting for me to be able to change some things up, knowing that you guys would like it. So here we go. Nice to have so many options to fit so many. I'd certainly try. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to show you, I don't know if it's going to work, so we'll see. Let's see. It's its first time. It is still the dodgy webcam, but this is what I look at when I'm live streaming. So this is I've got this laptop here, which has got all the YouTube stuff. This has got the StreamYard stuff. This has got the streaming software. So I have to keep an eye on all these things, plus my craft, plus the chat, which is right here for me. Also there. So yeah, so that's the look. So it is not high quality because it is, it's just a little webcam, and it's not a good webcam. It did die, which is why we got this other one. It did not like being a die stream webcam. So we definitely have things to play with. So there's a camera here. There's a light here. So that's what shoots down here. That's my microphone. And I've got light. There's another light there. So yeah, there's lots around. There's lots around. So back to here. So it looks so professional. Oh, thank you, Kelly. I certainly try. What I like to do is I like to be able to focus on what I want to focus on, and being able to have everything in my peripheral means that I can keep track of it. Like I can tell right now that my stream connection is good, that my microphone levels are decent, and that you guys are chatting in the chat. Chantel is launching shuttles into space. Oops, hang on a second. I clicked the wrong one. Where did that go? There it is. It moved up. So yeah, so this is the thing. Like, and I don't know if the third camera would be like a shot like that. I'm still playing. See, this is the thing. I'm still playing. Lisby says, no wonder it looks so good from our end. Well, I mean, I certainly try, but at the moment, because the internet is so hinky in our house, all of this runs through my phone. So I'm running all of this through my phone data. So if it crashes and burns, we know why. Like, poor little phone. Poor little phone. All I can say is thank goodness for 5G. I can't wait till I get that, 5G input, which I carefully speak about so we don't get demonetized. Here we go. I feel like you need one of those mics with the screen in front of it. So this is one of the things, right? So I watch a lot of videos, and I talk with a lot of live streaming experts, and a lot of them have their microphones like they're in the shot. So it would be sort of like right here where you would need a pop filter, okay? Which is this little screen. It's called a pop filter. And so, but because I have my microphone, I'm just going to go back out to this shot here, because my microphone's up here, it's literally like it's the merest hint out of shot. Like I literally move it so you can't see it, because I feel that while that's great for, while I feel that's really good for like people who are doing like music or gaming or something like this, I don't know if it's really what we want on our crafting channel. Do you know what I mean? Like, is that the image that we want? So I kind of like this cleaner image that doesn't have like all of the sort of, things in the shot. Like the things I want in a shot is this, you know what I mean? Like I want this stuff in a shot. That's it. And so, I mean, this is a personal preference. Just realized it's very gray, isn't it? So I might just see if I can do something about that. I may not be able to fix that, but I can certainly try. So it takes a little second because we are live. My poor little computer's like, configure the video and change that brightness. Can we do one more? Is that too bright now? Yeah, let's try with that. Apply. Okay. All right. And like these are the things that I'm always doing in the background. So yeah, and that's right, John, because my microphone's further away, I'm not popping the plosives. So when you are listening to people talk and you can hear like the noises and they actually like crackle in your ear, that's called a plosive. And it happens with like B's and S's and P's a lot. But because my microphone's like over there, it doesn't happen so much. So, I mean, it still could happen. Like, don't get me wrong. It could still happen. And so you don't spit on it. Look, if I'm spitting and it is going that far, there are bigger problems. If you don't drink pop, you won't need a filter. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. This is a new angle. Yeah, it's a bit of a different angle. Chaos says, I want Michael Bublé caressing the mic box. I'm sorry, you're on the wrong channel for that, honey. You are definitely on the wrong channel. I don't like peas. Yeah. Where are we? Oh, I'm so glad you described what a plosive was. I had no idea. And you know what? Most people don't. Most people have no idea. But when you're making videos, there's so many little things in the background you have to learn about to try and make your experience more enjoyable. So, and luckily for me, I actually enjoy that learning process. So it's kind of like a double good thing, if that makes sense. Like it's totally double good. Anyway. There's some of the fun things that we are working with. We've got like the new camera. Oops, sorry, not that one. The new camera angle that we can have a little play with every now and again just to break things up. We've got, you know, the new thing where we talk about the Patreon supporters. And as that list grows, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to shrink your names down, or maybe just make a second page or something. I don't know what I'm going to do there. Might be a touch of sibilance. Yeah. Okay. We're not going to go right in. Like, I do not have the gear to adjust anything. And this is one of the things I was talking. You remember last week we were talking about the things that were on my wish list? I was having a look at my wish list after the live stream just to see what I still had on it and what wasn't on it. And there's some gear on there that would make a big difference, but it comes at a big price tag, and I'm not ready to spend it yet. I'm not ready. Freaky says it's amazing the things that you learn on a fiber crafting chat. Yeah, like seriously, why limit ourselves, right? We're humans with multiple interests. We can be crafting while holding conversations. How many times do you hear about people who got in trouble at board meetings and what have you because they were knitting or crocheting at the same time, and people think that you can't do both things? And it's like, dude, do you realize that when I'm doing things with my hands, I'm actually taking in more of what you're saying? Anyway. Sally's like nodding yes, like you can see me. Yeah. You could scroll through the names at the top of the screen throughout the live. I mean, possibly that could be a thing to trial. Yeah, for sure. Like credits at the end of the movie. Yeah, but see, like, this is the thing. I like that idea. I really do. And if it ever got to like some point of ridiculous where there were so many of you doing this, that I just, I sort of did that. That would be weird for me. But anyway, and I also want to make sure that you guys are getting your credit at the start. I don't want to wait until the end when most people have dropped away because a lot of people don't stick around for the full 2 hours. I want to make sure that I'm letting you know straight away that I appreciate what you're doing. My kid knitting during remote learning. Yeah. John, I don't have a Zoom H4n on my wish list because I already own a Zoom H5. So yeah. You guys are cheeky. Knitting during a meeting occupies the part of my brain that wants to wander off and do something else. I'm a much better listener if I can knit. And this has been proven in so many studies that are, like, mostly that come out of Europe, honestly. So, you know, it's one of these things. It's proven over and over and over again that as long as it's not complicated knitting, because that does take up your it takes up not only your sort of more passive side of your brain, but it also takes up your thinking and your, there's a word for it, my brain won't give me the word, but it's where you're controlling what you're doing. So, yeah, are there going to be mid-credit scenes? No, I've done everything I was going to do. Like, that's it. That's all there is. That's all there is. Oh, Sally, you're right. We do have 5K subscribers now. Last week, oh my goodness, I cried last Thursday night because I'm going to be like, here's some truth. Here's some outright YouTube truth for you. Only live streaming is bad for my channel. Okay, it is bad because people don't want to sit through a 2-hour live stream if they're just looking to learn how to do a thing. They want sharp, snappy 5-minute videos. They don't want it. They'll see a 2-hour live stream and go, yeah, nope. And so it is bad for my YouTube channel. Now, I love doing it, and this is my favorite part, which is why at the moment it's the only part I'm doing. It is totally amazing that there's 5,000 of you who love this channel. And what's happened though is over the years, like when I was doing the uploads, I was getting 100, 150 subscribers a month, and that had dwindled down to 30 or so, 30 to 40 a month, which was totally 100% okay because I was just doing the live streams. Now, as I said, I love the live stream, so I've got no qualms, but I had to understand that you're not going to become like a YouTube superstar just live streaming 2 hours a week on Yarn. So it doesn't work that way. Last week on Thursday, I let you guys know that I was 30 subscribers off 5K, which to me meant I was about a month away from 5K. Okay. And I was so excited that we were so close. Well, between some of you guys sharing out and Claire sharing out, we hit 5K that night. And I was just like, oh my God. Like my husband's like, what's going on? And I'm like sending countdowns to some friends that would care about this sort of thing. And now we've got 5,060. So like you guys just like, there's your goal. So I am so excited. I'm so excited. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional again. I'm going to have a sip of my tea. Fancy, I bought the 4N years ago thinking I want to make videos and record stuff. So they're fantastic. The 4N's fantastic. I got the 5N just because it was, just the Zoom 5 just because it's what I could get. And it was relatively inexpensive. So even compared to what I actually want to get, it's still relatively inexpensive. The good thing about the comments on the main video screen is on the replay, it's much easier to know what you are replying to in the comments. Yes. So one of the things that, like, because I want to make changes. Okay, guys, this is the deal. There's some changes I want to make. We have some amazing conversations like last week where we were going, like when I was going on about blocking. I may have got triggered again last night, so there's a new thing. And one of the things that I've wanted to do is to trim down the live streams and then upload just segments. But the problem is the second I would do that, we would lose the entire live chat. And I don't like that. I like the live chat being available for the people watching the upload. Watching the replay. I think it's important that it stays. And so this has really limited what I could do. But using this new software, I can actually it's actually saving what you're seeing into the cloud while it's live streaming it out. Technically speaking, this software can allow me to live stream both to YouTube and to Facebook, my Facebook page, my Facebook group, everything all at exactly the same time. And here where we see everyone's comments, they've all got like a little YouTube signal on them, like a little, logo on them. So see how it's got the little logo on Claire's name there in the corner. What would happen is if somebody was watching on the Facebook and they commented, it would have the little blue Facebook logo. So there's those sorts of things. I like sticking with YouTube. Honestly, Facebook's got too many rules. Rules are, So one of the things is that with this new software, it means that I could answer a question while the question's on screen and trim that video down to, like, if ever we answer a question, clearly and succinctly, because when does that ever happen? And it's just one of these things. Now, John's got a really good comment here, and he says, I hate live streams because it's usually 10 minutes of let's wait for everybody to get in, then 20 minutes of stories I don't care about. I just want to learn the thing. I have to say my pet peeve is the let's wait for everybody to come in, and then they just sit there. Okay, so I hate that. Now, I understand why they're doing it. I do. But I'll bounce out of a live stream. If they say that, let's wait for more people to come in, I'm like, oh, so I'm not important enough for you to start. I'm going to bounce and I might come back once you've started. And that is, that's one of the things, like, it's not that I'm like all big noting, I'm important. No, but my time, like all of us, our time is important. Okay. And that does bug me. And that's why when the live streams start, there's normally a couple of minutes of our pre-start stream, but you guys know once that camera starts, I'm here for you, to talk to you and to respond to you, and that's why I'm here. Now, sometimes there's like tech fails and it's a little bit frazzling. I have to say, this week I was watching a live stream for one of my most favorite YouTube educators out there, Nick Nimmin, and he started this live stream and had no audio. And I was just like, oh my God, it doesn't just happen to me. It was such a nice moment for me. Not for him. He was a bit frazzled, which, because you are. But yeah, it's one of those things. Okay, let me have a look through here. The countdown was great. I was watching along. What countdown? Was there a countdown? Oh, I did a countdown one week. I'm looking at making a proper countdown video, a 2-minute countdown timer for us to have, so that it's so you guys can see where we're up to. Like, you don't come in and go, oh, how long is this going to be on for? So I would like to do that too. So I'm working on that as well. I don't know. I get miffed about those after the live and it's a replay, so I could ask or poke fun and it's too late. And that's the thing, like, there's discussions in the YouTuber world about creating lives for the people that attend, you guys, right here, that are right here, right now, or for those that attend watching the replays. Hi, replay watchers. Some people only create content, what they call for the replay. So they will interact less with the chat and they will make their points and talk their things through. And that is a good thing, right? It's good to do that. But if you're going to, like, in my opinion, if you're going to live stream like that, make a video and premiere it. If you're not going to talk with the chat, now there's some other people that will do a thing where they're like, okay, you know, people who are here live, we're just going to get through this bit for 10 minutes and then we're going to have Q&A afterwards. I'm okay with that. That doesn't bother me. But it's the ones that go, okay, we're done now, bye-bye. And they haven't interacted with anybody. I don't like that. That bugs me. That bugs me. That's what I was trying to say earlier, but Crochet with Claire said it much better. I think I've missed what Crochet with Claire said. I don't know what's going on. I've rambled for ages. Holly said I had to go and watch the replay last week. And that's the thing. Like, this is a 2-hour chunk out of either the middle of your night or the middle of your day. I don't expect you to be able to watch it on demand, like when I want you to. So, yeah, I mean, I love it because it means you guys, I love it because it means I get to chat with whoever's here, because, and that makes it more enjoyable for me because, you know, selfish being me. Woohoo. John says rules are for suckers. Yes, they are. Kirby wants to know, what are some of the more weird streaming rules for YouTube? There's certainly things you can't discuss. It's awkward to play music in the background because you don't know what YouTube is just going to, like, they'll just delete your audio. So you'll be sitting there talking. Everything looks fine from your end, but then everyone is like, there's no audio. There's no audio. So you've got to be really careful with your music. YouTube allow you to live stream in much higher quality. Facebook does not. So this is, I'm streaming in 1080. So I'm streaming in full HD. And I like that because especially when we're doing actual, you know, craft, you guys need to be able to see clearly. Now, if you do that on Facebook, they downgrade it now. 720 is still high definition, but it's not full high definition. So that bugs me a little bit. I'm sure there's some other things, but just off the top of my head, I can't really think of them. I hate when people come in an hour late and ask what they missed. It's just like, watch the replay already. Look, I don't hate it when they do that because I know that YouTube don't send out notifications to everybody. So like you guys are sitting in here now. There's 28 concurrent viewers. There's 23 of you that have hit like. And that there is good conversation going. I don't have the chat rate just yet. It'll come up. Believe it or not, I get that data. So the more that you guys interact and like, and if you click the share and share it out to your own socials, which I actually forgot to do. So if someone can throw it into the fun zone, that would be awesome. And it is one of those things that if you do all of those things, YouTube are like, oh, hang on a second. These people are enjoying this. We need to get this out to more people who like the same things that these people who are watching like. And that's how YouTube work. Knitspin Girl says, I don't tend to watch the replays. It's a bit like watching half a conversation. It is a little bit like that. And I'm trying to adjust for that a little bit with being able to bring up the comments that I'm replying to so you can see what the question was, not just find it in the chat. So it is definitely, I'm definitely working on fixing it because I know that not everybody can be here. So we've got lots of you guys from the US. We've got lots of guys from here in Australia, but not so many in the UK or Europe because it's like 2 a.m. And I get that. So it's, you know, there'll always be time zones that things aren't suitable for. I'm keeping going past. Lindsay says, I prefer YouTube. I don't like that Facebook forces posts, videos, comments onto my friends. YouTube feels more private, though that's not quite the word I want. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, and private's not really the word, but probably more contained. Like, you're here, it is public what you're saying and doing, but unless you click a share button out, it is just the people here that see it. And those that come in through the live stream, through the replays. It's not going out to just your mum's feed. Like, Lindsay liked a thing. Lindsay says this on this video. And I don't like that Facebook do that. Crochet with Claire says, I agree with Chantel putting comments on her screen. It makes it much easier. I'm still learning. So sometimes I'll reply to a comment without having put it on screen because this is still new for me as well. And I like it too. I think it's great. And I think that when I start getting ready to go in and start downloading and chipping back into like little bite-sized portions of either things that were like hilariously funny or things that were like really poignant or important, or really just like a really good little like, this is a great little video for something. Like, I would love to I've got to talk to Scott, but I would love to be able to do it with like some of that stuff that Scott Snyder did during his interview with us a few weeks back. Be able to condense that down into a little like 5-minute video on how to do the thing that he did. Those Europeans just aren't dedicated. I mean, look, I'm going to tell you something right now. Some of my favorite YouTubers and creators stream at 2:30, like in the morning here. Now, if it's a weekend, sure, I'll stay up sometimes, or at least I'll try. If it's not a weekend, I'm like, nope, because I've got to get up and function the next day. So I don't know if that, doesn't bother me. Freaky says, I find that lives on Facebook buffer worse than YouTube do. They don't have YouTube have spent many, many years building this phenomenal platform for live stream. Their ingest servers are enormous. They have like ridiculous amounts of people live at any one time. And so they allow for it. Whereas Facebook is still they're playing catch up is really what's going on. Here goes. Sally has put in the fun zone. Sally, I got to send you a list of links, honey, because the fun zone link is facebook.com/group/Fiberific fun zone. I go to a lot of effort to make sure that we can have words and not numbers. So I'll have to send you a list of links. I should send out a list of links to all the mods. A good YouTuber would do that. My tea's getting cold. I have to top it up with the hot tea. Where are we? I'm just having, oops, hang on a second. I have an Irish friend who streams at 2 a.m. my time. Frustrating, but it is what it is. Yep. I mean, that's the reality of it, is we can't, I mean, while all our videos and stuff are live, we can't be live at the right time for everybody across the world. With that said, I did get up at 4 a.m. to join a Zoom. It sounds ridiculous. I can do that. I can get up really, really early to do something, but I can't get up in the middle of the night to do something and then get back to sleep. It doesn't work for me. Claire says, it's so cool to see my new business name on the screen. Did you guys all know that Claire is rebranding to, instead of Bob Wilson 123, she is changing over to Crochet with Claire? I love it. I love it so much. You think you just adopted my daughter? I mean, I thought that happened ages ago. I've been wondering why she's still here. Okay. You need a magic mug with a ninja wrap on it. Is that one of them mugs that keeps your drink hot? Because I've heard about those mugs. Those mugs do sound magic. Okay. All right. So I've got a new rant. Half an hour in, we finally get to the point. Speaking of never getting to the point. Last night I was on Facebook, which, why do I even do it? Honestly, why do I even I was looking in a Facebook group and somebody posted up a photo of some very beautiful looking work that had a knot in it that had all its little tails hanging out, right? And their question was, what should they do about this knot? It is poking through their work. And it is definitely, I was just like, oh my God, somebody, I was on a Zoom last night. I'm like, somebody stop me. I'm going to write something mean. And I was just like, oh, because I try so hard to not just jump in with like, fire and brimstone, right? Because I'm not the crochet police. But there are some things, guys, there are some things that bug me, as you full well know. So I wrote a very diplomatic response, which some people liked. And Game Widow says that you were asking the wrong people to stop you. I really was asking the wrong people to stop me, because they would have just been like, yeah, rip her a new one. Lindsay, yes, that's right. Okay. Coming from a place where I learned about knots and tying things and joining yarn from people who weave, where the tensile strength of their yarn is so important. The second there is a knot, like a legit tied and tied again knot, that is a weak point in your yarn. That is an accident waiting to happen. The second those little tiny ends come undone, all of your work is coming out, okay? It's all coming out. So I'm with Claire here. Cut that knot out before you crochet it. And then they're like, oh, but then you have to do a join. Oh, poor you. Would you prefer to do a join now where you have 100% control, where you can make the tails as long as you want for weaving in, good, strong weaving in, where you've got time to see if those tails start flicking out long before it gets to the stitch? Or do you want to bitch and whinge and moan on Facebook? I don't know what happened to my project. I put it in the washing machine and everything unraveled. Okay? It is one of those things. It is your choice as a crafter to what you do. Okay? Whether you do any of the multiple options of doing those joins, those Russian joins, I don't like any of them, honestly. I don't like any of them. I find that they either make your yarn bulky, they make your yarn weak, they make a weak spot in your project. Just do a join and weave in the ends. Seriously, it's not that hard, especially if it meaning you've got so much more just control. Now, here we go. Definitely the wrong people, for sure. Alison said that she saw that pic and cringed. Yep. And what joining method do you prefer to use? Okay, so if I can't get to the end of a row and just end off and restart the next row with new yarn, which I know not everybody can because the yarn has run out, I will just do it for crochet. I will literally just do half the stitch with one end of the yarn, then do the other half of the stitch with the other end of the yarn, do the next stitch, tie a little bow in the back so that they sit nicely so that when you work into it, nothing pulls out. Then I will, at the end or once I get past there a little bit and I'm happy with it, flip it over and weave in those ends on the opposite sides, if that makes sense. So if it was the tail for this side's color and the tail for that side's color, I'd weave that tail over there and this one over here. And then weave it around a corner. So I like a long tail and weave in a long tail, okay? And when I'm knitting, similar idea. And it is just one of those things. John uses a surgeon's knot. I don't use any kind of knots. I don't like knots in my knitting. They also create a lump. Where are we? It's jumped down a little bit. By join, do you mean a knot with long ends to weave in? No, I don't tie a knot at all. So I will literally, I'm just having a look around for some yarn and I've got nothing, nothing in a ball that I can use. Dang it. I will literally do half your stitch in one color and then the other half half your stitch with one yarn and then the other half with the other yarn. So that there's like, say you're doing a treble, you yarn over, insert the hook, draw through a loop with the first yarn, then yarn over and draw through the rest with the other yarn, okay? And then crochet along and then try and pull that a little bit so it's a bit even. I will see if I can find some, sorry, Lisby's asking if I can show you guys. I will certainly have a quick look around, but I don't have anything to work on as such, but I can find something in a second. Legit question, what about silky fibers that doesn't have grabby hairs that will unwind? Kelly, I'll be really honest, I just do longer tails. Depending on how thick it is and how bulky it is, sometimes I'll even just hold both strands together and work them together for a few stitches. Sometimes that doesn't work. If it's too thick and bulky and it'll look ridiculous. But a lot of lace weight yarns, you don't notice it so much if it's just a few stitches. But again, nice long tails, weave them in, go around corners. Yeah, weave them like a duplicate stitch so you can't see them so much. Jen uses an invisible, here we go. I've got a simple garter shawl going and I'm doing the Russian join all the way because I'm being lazy on this one and I don't want to sew anything. I can't be bothered. The difference being, Lindsay, you're going into that with your eyes open, okay? And this is the thing. These are all your projects and you can do things however you want to do them. But you have to understand, and you do, the inherent risks. So when you do a Russian join, sometimes there'll be lumpy bits and it will be lumpy or it will be weak or whatever. But depending on what you're making, that's not going to be an issue or you don't care. Like you said, you can't be bothered, but you've made the decision. You know what you're doing going in. This person crocheted with their yarn, crocheted through the commercial knot is what it looks like. I'm not 100% certain. You know, in factories, they knot the yarn, which is really annoying, but it does happen. And they just decided to crochet with it rather than stopping and making a decision. So, yeah. I'm just, here we go. Jen uses an invisible knot. Sally says, I tried that once and it eventually came undone. I obviously didn't weave in good enough. I am insane with my weaving in. Like, if I don't have that much to weave in with, then my tails are too short. Like, it's got to be a good, well, that's 8 inches. I like to have about a 30 centimeter tail. I like 12-inch tails. So when people talk about 6-inch tails, or I'm just like, no, I like 12-inch tails. I find that I get a good weave in. Now, depending on what I'm making, I don't care either. And I'll weave in with less and I won't make it. But if I'm making a garment that I know needs to be laundered, that thing's going to have like tails as long as I can make. Knitspin Girl says, I used Russian joins for my scrap blanket because I didn't want to weave in 11 billion ends, and it's a scrap blanket. I don't care if it's lumpy bumpy because it's lumpy bumpy anyway. You made a decision based on your project and it works. This is the thing. And this is one of those things. It is definitely one of those issues where it just happens and you have to decide what you want to do. Would you prefer to weave in 1,000 ends, or would you prefer to do Russian joins, risking lumpy bumpy? With your particular project, the lumpy bumpy was not an issue, so you went with lumpy bumpy, and that is your decision. Absolutely. How can you do that? I think I've missed something. Oh, freaky. Sorry, invisible knot and you can't see it. Well done. Same technique as when you change colors. That's exactly right. I use the same technique as when I change color. So thank you. That's exactly how you describe it. So yeah, and maybe sometimes I will change, like if you're doing a treble and you do yarn over draw through 2 and then yarn over draw through 2, when I change colors, I'll only do that for the top section. But when I'm changing yarn of the same color, I'll try and do it in the middle section, if that makes sense. But it is the same idea as when you change colors. Snap for Chaos Creator and Nat Power. You guys, Nat Power is Tea for Talia, who makes a delicious mint sliced tea. I'm so behind in the chat, you guys. I'm so behind. Just trying to catch up. Where are we? You're a yarn shop. How can you not have yarn around? I've got plenty of yarn around, but it's all in hanks and skeins. It's not balled, ready for use. John says, I was thinking it, but I wasn't going to say it. Learn learning how to do the Stephen weave in that you hold your tails in place very well. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of options that don't involve tying knots, honestly. Just, yeah, and that's but don't you need a needle to do the Russian join, so you're in fact sewing anyway. That's right. How much time are you actually saving? I love it. Leonie's actually weaving in the ends while she watches this. That's so cool. That's so cool. How often does that happen? Factory knots, I cut and retie. Oh, absolutely. You have no idea how that knot was made. You have no idea if they've tied that properly or in a way that you prefer. You cut those suckers out and you rejoin them yourself if you want to do a knot, or you do a color change join like what I do. No technicalities. That's right, Lindsay. There's a flying thing in here. I don't like it. It's getting into my peripheral vision, and my peripheral vision is busy right now. See, look, I've got to switch to the camera angle just because I can now, obviously. I'm just looking over here at this section here, and I'm like, maybe I need to clean that up more if I'm going to have this angle. Actually, I'm planning on doing a complete shuffle around and pulling all of that out and moving this table down so that I can open and close the window easier, because how I have to open the window, I literally have to move the camera, like shut the laptop and move the camera forward so I can get into open and close the window. So, yeah. I don't know how I feel about this angle. It's not exactly flattering on my neck here, but I like that you guys get to see what I'm looking at. Like, I just keep playing with this thing that I'm not even doing right now. I should probably have brought yarn in balls to make it so that it was ready to talk about this thing. Oh, okay. Let me scroll. Let me have a look here. Leanne I have a question. Does it register with YouTube if we share to the Messenger chat area? Do you know? As in, okay, so if you click the share button and copy link, and then you drop that link somewhere, it acknowledges that you copied the link. Okay, so you don't have to send it to a Facebook group or to a Twitter account or any of that array of crazy numbers of softwares or platforms that you can send it to. When you click that copy link, it will acknowledge that you have copied the link. I don't know if it's weighted or if it prefers it to be sent out directly, or what. I have no idea. But it does definitely still count. So yeah. I just snort. Yes. I saw someone using a chenille needle, which is a very sharp, to bury the end inside the yarn. Yeah, look, depending on what I'm doing, if I'm doing something with lace weight or with something slinky, I definitely prefer to use a pointier needle, and I cut through the stitches rather than going under them. I'll cut through them, just to grab, just a little bit, just to grab it so it's got a bit more to grab onto. But yeah, I prefer blunter needles for joining and things like that. It's different strokes for different folks. All the technicalities for sure makes life interesting. 8 inches is too short. Yep. See, this is how far behind the chat I am. I know that I was showing this, what I was doing here. Hang on a second. We've got, oh my gosh, I scroll a little bit and then it scrolls heaps and I lose everything. Jackie is late because she had an important meeting to eat cake. Jackie, sweet, was it good cake is my question. John's feeling called out here. I mean, don't. It's up to you. Yesterday I learned the weaver's knot. I wouldn't use it in my knitting though. I wouldn't either. It's while it's a flat knot, it's a visible knot. So, but the weavers showed me that when you tie a knot and you pull, it snaps. You can have the actual length of yarn and you can be like tugging on it and its tensile strength is protected. The second you tie a knot in it, it creates a weak point, and when you pull on it, it just snaps. And it's what I do if I don't have scissors. I'll just tie a knot in the yarn and break it. And so it's much easier once there's a knot in there. So eating cake is important. That's right. I'm going to keep going there, Kim. That's that question. While we know what it means, it could be taken a different way. It was hot chocolate marshmallow tart for no particular reason. I've never had a hot chocolate marshmallow tart. I didn't even know that was a thing. They use their feet to make them knots in the factory. Not easy, I'm sure. Really? I don't understand. Jackie says she's been using the Stephen West method for years. I'll have to look into it. I've not seen it. Knitspin Girl says she always cuts out factory knots. I always cut out factory knots. And that's the other thing. They could lick their fingers before grabbing it. Yeah, or suck on the end. Yeah, no, I'm out. There's yarn in front of you, but it's thin yarn. And it's, it's goodness. All right, just hang on a second. I'll let you guys, look at my setup while I go and find something to use. If I was some yarn that was ready to be worked with, where would you be? Oh, hello. Don't fall over, little crate. Found something. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. I'll grab 2 contrasty colors. I was looking for an 8-ply, and I know I've got like a box with a whole pile of 8-ply balls in it, but I think I took it inside to work on it. Okay. Move you out of the shot. Okay. All right. I don't know if you guys can see this enough because it's very fine and very small. You guys are the worst, honestly. I cut factory knots out. You could wash your wool in salty water to color. Oh my gosh. Game Widows is going out to see humans. Have fun, Game Widows. All right. I mean, the problem is that there's nothing. Like, do I have something I could just work on to? All right. Hang on. Because I'm lazy and I don't want to do a whole pile of crochet to show how to do this. I'm just going to just jump in and join on here. Okay. Can you guys see that? I might see if I can zoom in temporarily. Properties, Brio Craft. You've got this, little dude. We can do it. We can do it. Okay. Configure the video. Let's zoom it in. Oh, that's zooming it out. All right, let's see how that goes. Okay. All right, because it just worked. All I could find was 4-ply. I wish this would be better if I could do it in some DK or something. But no, I can't find anything big. All right. So you've got your stitch. You start it. You go in. You draw through the loop. Then, oh, you'd think I would have thought that out and grabbed the yarn end already. No is the answer. Okay. Keep a nice long tail there as well. Okay. And then I hold the tail at the back to give it some tension and draw through 2 and draw through 2. And then go on to the next stitch and do a couple of stitches. And then see how that's just a little bit hinky. I'll go back and just give it a little jiggery pokery and tie a bow in it. And that's how I do my joins. I don't know if can everybody see that? I don't know if that was helpful or not. So to change my color, I yarn over, insert the hook, bring it through, draw through 2, then get the next color Oops, hang on, I lied. My brain went into color change rather than joining a new yarn. So yarn over, draw through a loop. Then with those 3 loops on the needle, I pick up the color that I want to use, draw through 2, draw through 2. And that does make a saggy, baggy stitch. But all you've got to do to fix that is just tighten it up a little. And then just work the next stitch and do a couple of stitches and then go back and you just sort of flip it over and just pull on the little tails until it matches the rest of the stitches. And then you've got your long tails. I joined that one on, which is silly, but you've got your long tail and you weave it across, turn a corner and weave it back. So that's how I do that. Now I just want to zoom that back out again because that feels extremely close. Okay. Alrighty. So did that help? Did that explain what I was trying to talk about? So yeah, it's one of those things, like, it's a personal preference, guys. And while I'm not the knit police, you know, I have opinions. Okay, I'm just having a quick read in the chat here. What do you mean by a bow? I just tie a bow. Like, I just literally, I don't have, oh, hang on, I'll just go to the right screen. I literally like just tie a little, like grab that loop, tie that around and just pull it through like a little bow. And I just leave that there until I'm ready to go back and weave the ends in. And it gives me good strength. I can stitch into the stitches, no problems. It doesn't pull the yarn. It doesn't get any loose bits. And then at the end, I'll go through and undo the bows and weave in the ends, like proper weave in the ends. The bows are just to keep it out of the way and to keep the tension on the stitches so that when you go to work back into them, they're not all loose and the wrong shape and things like that. And that's what I do there. It's what I hear online lots. Oh, here we go. No, Ruth is making tea. Why are you not the crafting police? You've been doing it for years. You should know all the rules. But that's the thing. There's not rules. There's opinions and variations. And there's things that work better than others. And there's things that work better for me. And there's things that don't work. So Ruth says sort of like a loose knot. No, the bow is pulled tight, but you can totally undo it. It's not a loose knot. You want it to be stopped behind the stitch. So you want a tight bow, but I have big ends, big bow loops because I want such long ends to weave in. Lisby says that makes sense. Thank you. Never did the bow thing. Thanks for sharing. And you don't have to do the bow thing. This is just how I do it. If I can't hide the ends from a knot in a seam, I'll knot it. Then I'll retie it just before I weave the ends in. So you've got your long tails and then you tie a knot into the back, do your work, and then come back and undo the knot and then redo the ends. See, for me, I struggle to undo knots, which is why I do the bow. So even loose knots I struggle with because I've got nails now, but they're not my nails, so they don't do what real nails do. And when I had no nails, I had little pudgy fingertip ends that still didn't want to undo knots. So lose. lose. Goodness me. Oops, hide. That seems like a lot of double handling. Well, I mean, not really. It's very fast. When you go to do it, you sort of change color, do a couple of stitches, flip it over, tighten a bow, and then keep going, and then come back later when you're ready to weave in all your ends, and it's just sitting there as bows on the back rather than loose ends that could be making stitch shapes wrong. Those nails are a menace. Real nails can snap on you. Oh, they can. These can too. I snapped a pinky off. I was moving a Bessa brick and it still hurt. Probably not as much as a real nail, but it still hurt. Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing, and this is why some people like to just make a knot and crochet over it, Chaos Creator, because they don't want to do the double handling. They feel that if they just do a knot and then work over their ends, then they're done. And that can work. It can. I wouldn't do that on anything that requires regular laundering or anything that gets stretched or worn, or like blankets when they get pulled out of shape. So, yeah. Oh, look, Chaos Creators poking a bear. When you mean when you finish the project. Yeah, so like, or when you decide you want to weave some ends in. So it could either be right at the very end before you block it, where you go through and weave all of your ends in, or some people like to weave a few in as they go so that when they get to a certain point, but they're just there. She's judging. Look at that expression. Yeah, I am. In saying that, my Monday Manic in the designer recommends just crocheting over the ends because of what it is. I'm having a go at crocheting over the ends. Now, I'm leaving a lot longer tails than most people are, and I'm crocheting over like a lot more. But I'm giving it a whirl because that's what the designer recommends, and I'm trying it. I cringe every time I'm doing it, but I'm trying it. When I finish the row, I've had to join the yarn I weave in the ends. Yep, and lots of people do it that way for sure, Ruth, for sure. I wish I could say I did, but quite often I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. I'll get to it, and just keep working, and then you get back and you realize there's like 11 billion ends you've got to weave in. Alison is working on her queen. Oh, Alison, I pulled mine out last night. We had a Zoom chat and we were talking about our queens, and so I pulled mine out. It was under a pile of stuff. So I haven't done any more work on it, but I have pulled it out. I could probably bring it back out to work on during the live streams. Like, that would make sense. If you weave your ends in, what happens when you have to frog it because your pattern changes aren't working? I wouldn't know, Kim. So what I tend to do is if I'm doing something a bit experimental, I don't weave the ends until the end, till I'm happy. And I will do all my, like, I will look at it and I'll be like, yep, okay, that's cool. I'm happy with that. And then I'll weave in all the ends. That works for me and someone like me because I very rarely weave the ends in early. But it is definitely an option. And if you are one of these people, Kim, who don't do jiggery pokery on every pattern that you work on, I would wait until you weave the ends in. Or is that just me? Look, I'm sure it's not just you. Sally says, I work over the ends, but I also leave some tail to weave into. Yep, that's totally working. And John just says no frogging. Lisby's finding it hard to crochet lying on her side. Oh, I wish I had some suggestions for you. I don't. Does anybody have any suggestions? Lisby has to stay off her back and lay in bed for medical reasons. And so if anyone's got any suggestions on how she could crochet comfortably, that would be awesome. Mine is sitting right over there, my queen. Oh my gosh, mine's sitting next to me, but it's too hot to touch it. And that's why I didn't touch mine for ages, but it's been cold a lot. But I'm going to be really honest, you guys. I've been a bit brain frazzled over the last few weeks. And other than the craft that I don't work on during live streams, I've done no craft. And my brain is definitely starting to feel it and is definitely like, okay, Chantel, it's time to pull out some projects. The weather is cold. You've got no excuse not to be working on some of your bigger projects. But yeah. Oh, Jen has finished her third queen. Go, Jen. Nice job. Lisby says, I've got a baby blanket queen to finish. In that beautiful rainbow one you've been working on. Oh, my gosh, that is gorgeous. Melissa's queen is still in the naughty box. No, what she needs to not be on any way to sit. No way to sit at all. That sitting is not an option. Time to start another one, Jen Deal. What is your next project? You've done 3 queens. Like, that's pretty full on. Like, what's your next project going to be? Love to hear it. What's everybody working on right now? Like me, nothing. This cup of tea. That's what I'm working on. Also, this live stream. What are you all working on? Like, surely you're not just sitting here. I need to refresh the teacup. Here we go. I didn't want to go into any details just because I wasn't sure what you're comfortable with, but it's a pressure wound, so no pressure is allowed. I'm going to sneeze. I'm legit going to sneeze. I can feel it. It built up just while I was pouring my tea. You know when you're like you're going to sneeze and your eye starts watering? Yeah. No more queens for a while. Really? Really? John's working on not sweating to death. Well, you know, we do that a lot here in Queensland. There's a lot of that going on. Not at this time of the year, but yeah, definitely. Chaos Creator has a sore wrist. Claire's getting dressed. Okay. Sally's doing nothing because she's modding the chat. Oh, Knitspin Girl just finished a massive blanket and now feels like your blanket looks fantastic. It looks amazing. Do you want to make another blanket or do you want to do something different? We were talking about these gorgeous knitted tops last night in the Zoom. I don't have any of the links. If anyone's got any of those links, they were just stunning. I definitely am contemplating. Well, what I'll do is I'll have a look and see if their patterns come into my size. I was having a discussion online about people who someone sent a DM to a friend of mine wanting some advice on a particular business issue. Now, this person is not a friend or anything like that. It was just a random person asking another person who has experience, hey, can you help me out with this decision? And they didn't get back to them straight away because this person gets a lot of messages. And when they went to reply, because they were going to reply, they were going to help them out and give them all the information that they could, they found they'd been blocked. And they're assuming that they were blocked because they didn't respond quickly enough. And all I could think of was, oh my God, that sounds exactly like designers when people demand pattern support because the design doesn't come in their size or you know, in the yarn that they want to use because the designer has designed it in some specific yarn. And my brain was just like, oh my God, this happens to everybody in every industry. I always thought it was just a yarn thing where people were a bit, like, I hate to say it, but a little bit demanding. Not everybody. There's just a particular subsection. And I was just like, oh my God, this really does happen to everybody in every industry. There are people who make demands, like unfounded demands. And like, I'm not kidding, $8 for a pattern doesn't give you any right to do that. I don't care how much you think so, unless you're paying for like $150 to, you know, get someone's time, then you no rights. To be demanding, to query and ask for help and ask in a kind manner and be understanding that you would really appreciate some help, but you understand that if it's not available, it's not available. That's a whole different thing, okay? But people who are like, I paid for this pattern and it's not in my size and you will help me resize it. No. Soz no. And I'm a big girl, so a lot of patterns don't come in my size. So I understand that it's frustrating. I do get it, that it's frustrating when you really want to make something and you're like, no, it doesn't come in my size. And it's just like, welcome to the world. I can't buy half the clothes I want to buy because they don't come in my size. You know, like, oh well. But yeah, it was just, I was just like, oh wow. And this guy who had the requests made has the option for people to join and be part of sort of like a membership group and things like that to get more one-on-one. And it's not expensive. It's like $5 a month. It's cheap. And you're just like, oh my God. And this person was just like making such, anyway, I was just blown away. Let me have a look here. I'm going back. Kathy is working on squares for a temperature blanket. I definitely went off on a tangent. Sorry, guys. Leonie is having to find her mojo to start for a second mitten. Oh, you can do it, Leonie. You can do it. Post photos of your first mitten into the fun zone so we can all encourage you, okay? because we know what it's like, second sock syndrome and second mitten syndrome and making that second sleeve. It's like, you've already done it once. Why do I have to do it again? Mine is hangout time. I have baby items to make before my great-grandchild gets here on the 21st of November. Oh, that's so soon. Jen says, I think an easy shawl will be next, or a nice corner to corner. Something with just a bit of mind-numbing repetitiveness. Sounds just like what you need. John says that he doesn't live in the subtropics. I'm reading a lot of stuff coming out of the US that you guys are like dealing with some seriously unusual heat levels. But I mean, same thing's been happening here. I think the world's changing. Lindsay says that she has a garter shawl in her hand, but she's just made some blueberry tea, and the husband is watching a special on a UAP report. What's UAP? Is it? Oh, I don't know what that is. Gentlemen, avert your eyes. Sorry. I nearly put Holly in timeout. Sorry, Holly. I hope you weren't in timeout. The mouse, there's a spot where I can click that apparently. I didn't even know I could. Not on this screen. I know I can on that screen, but not on this screen. Holly's working on a Graphghan of a teddy bear. I've looked at those Graphghans. I think the closest thing to a Graphghan I've done is the words for my Zoomy blanket. And I look at the Graphghan sometimes and I'm like, oh, that could be really fun, but also not. So I've never really jumped in. Kelly is working, but when I'm not, she's knitting a Ravello jumper. That sounds nice. Kim's got some more suggestions for Lisa. Oh, I know this sounds bizarre, like a bizarre suggestion, but this is how Kim's son uses his iPad. He lays on like a flat couch, tummy down, with his head over the end, with his forehead on the next chair, and then puts the iPad in the gap between, and then he's got both arms free. So, I mean, I don't know if that could work for you or not, Lisby, but that's definitely like I've seen it. I've seen it work. You heard crickets when she read out your comment. I mean, yeah. Unlicensed assistive personnel. No. Unidentified aerial phenomena. That sounds more like it. UAP equals UFO. All right. Thank you. Oh, no, Joss, did they not know that team meetings should not be scheduled between 10 and 12 on a Thursday? Oh, gosh. Enjoy your meeting. Hopefully it's not a meeting that should have been an email. I hate those meetings. This Spin Girls is currently sewing masks. A couple of ladies from my spinning group rang me and said, hey, you know those masks you showed for your daughter? Can I buy a couple? Holly says, I've been a good girl. Don't put me in timeout. If I had, it would have been an accident because you have been a good girl. Absolutely. John says, we're tea storm warned. I wish they would come in and bring the cool air. Leanne says that I did a great job on my block graphing. I enjoyed that. That was fun. I'll take a photo and pop it into the fun zone. So when we made our Zoomy blankets, so there's a few of us who made this joint project, which we are talking about ways to do another one. So actually, now that I have you all here, if we were to do another Zoomy blanket, what I'm thinking is we'd need to make a couple of groups. Okay, so we'd need to do like a US group and an Australian group, or you know, whichever continents work out, because otherwise we're shipping things backwards and forwards and it will cost an absolute arm and a leg. It's already expensive enough to ship it around the same country. So my question would be, would there be somebody, and you don't have to tell me in the chat, but just, my printer just started. It's so creepy. Just DM me if you think this is something you could do. My printer is printing something and I didn't press print. I'm so confused. I didn't think this printer was connected to a network. I thought it was a hardline printer. I'm very scared now. Okay. We're talking about UFOs and then my printer fires up. Okay. So what I was going to suggest is before I do, Claire is saying goodbye. Have a great day, Claire. No idea what to charge, but I don't really want to make them, so they're definitely going to pay. Oh, I love that. I love it so much. I love it so much. Melissa is going to try fixing her knitting the way that Chaos Creator suggested. If it doesn't work, I'm going to scream. Well, I'm glad there's enough distance between our homes that I won't hear that. Freaky says, is much better behaved than me. Yep. I wouldn't say you're poorly behaved, Freaky. Like, you know. Gosh, it's like watching a horror movie, you're shoulder checking. Yeah, my printer is just over there. And it's just, let me see. Can you guys, I don't think you can see it with this other shot. No. It's basically like 2 meters that way. Probably not even 2 meters. And I'm just like, oh my God. Anyway, it didn't actually print anything. It just did the printer dance. Gremlins have turned it on. What's your husband doing? I mean, he could be sending stuff to my printer. But I didn't think this one was connected to the home network, and that the house Wi-Fi doesn't reach out here very well. It is very, very spooky. It's very spooky. Is husband working? Husband is working from home, and maybe he did select the wrong printer, but he doesn't usually print anything. All his stuff is digital. Yeah, it's a bit creepy. Oh my God. Okay. It's a good thing you aren't a Stephen King novel. You would have been eaten by now. Good point, Lindsay. Good point. No, what I was going to suggest is if somebody wants to put their hand up and let me know in a DM, you don't have to decide right now. But if we decided to go and do another group project, so those of you that don't know what the Zoomy blanket was, is during the height of the lockdowns in Australia, we were doing regular Zoom chats, and we still run them quite regularly, but we were doing them 7 days a week during the worst of it. And what we were doing is we decided that each person involved would make 16 8-inch squares, which is where all these size matters jokes come from. They needed to be made with a DK weight or a light worsted weight yarn. They needed to be non-alpaca, and preferably like acrylic or cotton or something like that. We have a lot of people with a lot of allergies, so it was easier to deal with it that way. But then, so we had some requirements, but everyone needed to make 16 squares. Then they all shipped their squares to me, and then myself and Kim laid them all out, and we bundled it up so everybody got 1 square from each person, and then shipped them back their piles. And so it would definitely be work. And what we would do is we would make sure that whoever that person ended up being, everybody involved needs to give them the money for the shipping. So if it's going to, we'd have to work out an approximate weight and what have you, and be like, it's going to be around this much. Do you want to be involved? And then once it's all finalized and we know an exact weight and an exact amount, then everyone has to PayPal the money to that person so that they can pay for the shipping. So if that's something you guys are interested in, we're going to start up a discussion in the fun zone. So if you want to be involved in a new group project, and we would have subgroups, because that way we don't have to have everybody making 11 billion squares, and then everyone gets a square from a person in that group. And it creates like a little bit more of a geographically tight-knit group as well. If that does that make any sense at all? I don't know. Anyway, that's what we're thinking. That's where the thinking is. So let me know if that's something you would be interested in, like as if you would be interested in making squares, like do you want to be part of it? And let me know if you would put your hand up to be your local area facilitator. There we go. We're using fancy words. Fancy words. there we go. What would be required of a Zoomy blanket point person? A Zoomy blanket point person would need to be able to comfortably receive all the squares of their local people. So either be happy to give them your postal address or your street address. They would need to have some way to accept the money, like a PayPal account or something like that, or a bank account if you're happy to share that information. I think PayPal's safer. Be willing to just what I did was I just in my living room, I made sure the floor was clean and laid down a big sheet and just laid out all the squares and then just made a pile. I just grabbed one square off each person's pile and then made them a pile and put it aside. And then I just bundled those up and shipped them back out again. So I would make sure that every person involved paid their own postage. So you might be out of pocket temporarily while some people are still paying, and that would be up to you to decide whether or not you posted anyway, or that would be something you would decide. But everyone needs to pay their postage. So that would be the cost of entry, is the postage, but you may not be able to pay the postage till a bit later till we work out exactly how much it's going to be, because weighty and big. So that's basically all I can think of. Can anybody else think of like what a Zoomy blanket facilitator would do? Where are we? I'm skipping past some stuff here, John and Freaky. If I had piles, I wouldn't ship them to people for them to deal with. I mean, good point. I could use better language. It might be easier to do local ones where people can meet up. And that was fun, because what we did was we had a day where we had our lockdown was lifted here in Queensland. And so all the local people met up here and picked up theirs. But those that weren't local, we still shipped out. So they could still be involved. But if we're dealing with the US and Canada, and they may not be able to meet up. And I don't want people to feel like they can't be involved if they can't physically attend somewhere. So, but I still don't want them to have to pay international shipping. Does that make sense? Chaos Creator has put in a link to the Fun Zone. Thank you. So if you are not a member of the Fun Zone, go and become a member. I'll make squares. How much time is allotted for this task? We'll sort it out, but we give it it's a good few months. It's a good 3-month project. We don't, people have other things that they want to make and deadlines and stuff, but we would set where are we at? We're at 1st of July here in Australia. So August, September, October, probably the 30th of October or something like that. Like a good full 3 months. Kim made our initials on tags for us to hand stitch on. It's one of the most amazing and rewarding projects that I've ever been involved in. I mean, and that's an option as well. Like we did that, but it's not necessary. And it was just so we could see whose squares they were. I'd be happy to make those up and ship them out to whoever was a facilitator, so we could get those out. Sally says we all did a Zoom call. That's right, we did. We Zoomed, everyone was in the yard and we had the Zoom on for everybody who was involved, so they could still watch the Zoom. To be fair, your wording is okay. It's for me to be picky about what I'm focusing on. Yeah. It sounds fun. How many people would you have per country? Am I putting the cart in front of the horse, so to speak? I reckon the 16 to 20 was a good number for a blanket. I ended up adding, what I'll do is I'll grab some photos of mine. And if anybody else who was in the Zoomy chat wants to throw photos of your Zoomy blanket into the Fun Zone, so everybody can see because we all did different things. Leanne made this really gorgeous banner that we could do out of Graphgan block stitching. So we ISO Zoomy 2020. We would call it something else, even if you don't want to, you don't have to. And I added 3 rounds of granny squares in one color around all my squares so that I could get a bit more width because I wanted my blanket wider. And some people actually went through and made double the amount of they made a whole pile, like 16 or 20 more squares in a solid color to checkerboard them and, you know, to make a full-size blanket. So there's lots of options, but I think the 16 is a good number. It makes it good lap rug. 16 8-inch squares makes a good size lap rug. Kim says, if you are joining the fun zone, make sure you answer the questions. We have people in limbo who did not answer the questions. And if you don't answer the questions, we don't let you in. It was great to have Sally with us that day. It was, absolutely. I'll pin my YouTube name to the blocks. Yeah, like, and this is the thing, like we just used a sewing machine, Kim made them, just initials on some little felt and then pinking sheared them down to being quite small so we could just stitch them into the corners. But you can do whatever you want. How many squares do you want from each person? It would probably be, it'll be however many people are in your group, so that everybody in your group gets a square from you, if that makes sense. So if there's 16 in your group, it's 16 squares per person that needs to be made. So you need to post your pile of 16 squares to them, and then the facilitator will make up a pack, including one of your squares, to ship back to you, and do it that way. Now, it makes it a hodgepodge of colors. It's a bit crazy, but it's also fun. Jen Deal says, I'm not on social media, but I want to participate. How do I get updates? Jen, do you direct message or anything at all? Otherwise, you can just send me an email and we can discuss options for you. Or you could get updates from each following live. Yeah, we could definitely run like a little, we could have our Patreon section and then our group blanket section for sure. The questions are wicked hard. They're so hard, John. They're so hard. Okay, next question. How do I know what group I'll be in? We will try to make sure you're in the group that's geographically the closest, if that makes sense. Like if we can make a Canada group where you guys don't have to ship internationally to the US at all, I would love to do that. If we can make a US group, that would be amazing. If I could make a UK or a Europe group, that would be fantastic. And we will try to make sure that that happens. But if there's not enough people interested, we'll have to join you into your next nearest group, which means international postage, unfortunately. So yeah. But we will get more into that information once we start getting an idea of how many people actually want to be involved. Did you mix yarn squares or do you say all cut cotton get bundled together? No, we mix them. Like so Kim, who is allergic to every animal thing on the planet, she made all of hers out of acrylic, I think. Acrylic? Well, all yours acrylic? Anyway, but we just randomly, like I got one from Kim and one from me and it was just very random. But you just got one square from each person. So if a person made a mixed pile, like for me, I did some that were cotton and some that were acrylic. And so I just made sure that Kim definitely got none that had animal fibers. So yeah, but we just made sure, I think we all used, we needed 8-inch squares. We wanted, so everyone got 8-inch, everyone has to make 8-inch squares using a DK or a light worsted. I went with a 4mm hook, but it depends on your gauge. And yeah, and we just hit up Ravelry and everywhere we could just to find square patterns. And everyone has to wash and block their squares so that when we all receive our squares, they're ready for joining. Okay, that's the big thing. Can you wash and block your squares? I just did 4 at a time on a single foam piece. And I actually like drew 8-inch squares in Nico, like Sharpie pen on each one and just pinned out to the square. That's what I did. Jen's going to send some info. Awesome. I think he'd be Canada freaky. If we can get like 16 people in Canada, I would definitely do a Canada one for sure. Freaky says, I feel like I'm alone in my section of Canada. Maybe in this live chat, Freaky, but not across Fiberific, honestly. Make a Google Doc on the Fun Zone where people can specify where they are and nominating if they want to be point people. That's a fantastic idea, Nat. Absolutely. That sounds like a great way to go. Yes, that's right, John. That's exactly correct. Oh dear. That's all. That also could work, Kim, if there's smaller groups, and so there's 8 people. If everybody does 2 blocks for each person, so it's a lot. It's still 16 squares, but you would have 2 blocks for each people. We could totally work it out. We all made sure to specifically make one for Kim out of cotton or acrylic. Absolutely. Jackie's, and that's the other thing, knitted or crocheted, it doesn't matter. As long as you get an 8-inch square, once you've blocked it, then that didn't matter. And everyone could just work it all out. It's a little bit of, kafangling, but because a lot of people crocheted like a little border around their square to join them all together because it's easier to join them that way. Because it was a mix of crochet. Everyone got crochet and knitted pieces as well, which was great. Yeah, John. Do you feel called out by Jen right now, John? Do you feel called out? Because, it's right there. I just, it's down there. No? There. I don't even know where I'm pointing. Jen has called you out. See that? You've been called out. Jackie designed a yarn ninja illusion. And Leanne did these amazing love hearts. Here comes the blocking talk again. Oh, really? Really, Lindsay? We don't want to discuss that. Okay. Melissa's posted her pictures up in the fun zone. Awesome. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, last question. What weight size of yarn? Okay, so we used a lot of DK or light worsted. It just meant that everyone was sort of similar-ish. But even between DK and light worsted, there's still a big range. So, as long as you get an 8-inch square, everyone can work around it. But the bigger the yarn, you don't want it bulky, but like a light worsted to a medium worsted was good because you got a good number of stitches. Jenny Brown, welcome to the chat from Northeast Victoria. Jackie's happy to send instructions for her knitted illusion ninja if you are interested. Holly says, I think it sounds fun. It is fun. And we can arrange regular Zoom chats for anybody who wants to do that as well. I think if I went to Michael's store and asked for DK yarn, they would know what I'm talking about. I still don't know unless it's on the band. And that's why I said light worsted. Like if you guys go for it, is it number 3? I want to say number 3. It could be number 4. I don't know. Yeah. All of mine the same size before joining as they're a bit different, needed various rounds of crochet. Yeah, and that's the thing. Oh yeah, it's 3 or 4. Good. Looking around the channel, not seeing an email address. Let me just think which one I want to give you. Just sales@fiberific.com.au. If you just send it through to that, I'll get that. Yeah, we did try to make sure they're all 8 inches, but, variations. Sorry, there's almost always, I'm teasing too. It's all good. I don't want to do it again. Yes, last week's was enough for a while, honestly. Was it not enough? It was enough. Yeah, definitely. So DK is a 3. There you go. Awesome. Sally has posted her photos of her Zoomy blanket. There's always a chance. Oh, thanks, Jackie. Sales@fiberific.com.au. I'll get that. So send it through there. I'm sure there's an info, but I'm not 100% certain I've set it up. So I don't want to tell you to do that if it's not there. Wow, we're down to the last 20 minutes, you guys. That's insane. We've done so much. One thing I do want to talk about, which I forgot to talk about at the start, was when we were talking about how we hit 5K subs. Do you guys all remember what we were going to do when we hit 5K subs on the Fiberific YouTube channel? Because we hit it. If I had some fun music to play that was not copyright erected, I would be playing that right now. I said we do a dialogue. for those of you that don't know, that's what I said we do. We do a dye along. So I'm going to sit down and have a look at the calendar and plan a date and make a dye kit and put it together. If anybody wants undyed yarn to do, we're going to be using food coloring. I'll be using food coloring, so you can follow along in your standard saucepans. You don't have to buy any specialized gear. You just need some undyed yarn, some citric acid, which you can pick up at your grocery because you only need a small amount. If you're in Australia, I can post you some citric acid, but it looks real dodge, okay? Like Clippy Bag, White Crystal, dodge. It looks seriously dodge. So we're going to do a live dye. I just got to double check the dates and make sure that I can get yarn out to people in time for it to, work. And I've got some a mixture. I've got a mixture of gel dyes or powder dyes that are food coloring. So I think I'm going to play with the food coloring powder dyes and see how that goes. But we're going to do a live dye. So yeah, that will be fun. And I'm just tossing up like whether or not I just want to bring a cooker in here where all the gear's already set up, or whether I want to go and stand on the freezing cold patio and do it there. That's the problem. It's so cold. It's so cold and I don't want to be outside. I want citric acid from Australia. It won't make it. They will pull out that little bag and be like, nope. And then they will send the police to your house. I was starting to think you were never dying again. No, I'm not. Like, how do I put this? I'm not never dying again. I have to really pare back the dyeing. It's physically becoming an issue. And so I really have to pare it back a lot. But the problem is I love doing it. So what I'm going to be doing is rather than making like a lot of yarn for the website and trying to keep it updated, because I can't do that much dyeing anymore. What I'm going to do is on occasion, when I'm feeling inspired, dye up a pretty batch of yarn and pop it up, and they'll be random. And I know that's not good for a dyeing business, and I know that that's not good business practice. But unfortunately, sometimes decisions have to be made where health is more important than business, and that's one of those decisions. But a live dye with some food coloring, I think I can rock that. Will vinegar do? Look, yeah, vinegar will do. Citric acid is better. You can pick up citric acid from Woolies, Gail, like just from in the baking section. It's not expensive. And I don't know where you are. If you're in Australia, I can post you some. I buy my citric acid in like 20 kilo buckets. So what I'll do is I'll make some packs. So if people want packs, they can have everything together if you're in Australia. If you're not in Australia, your pack won't include your citric acid, okay? So it could be some raised eyebrows at customs. Absolutely. What about real lemon juice? No, that won't work. I mean, it could work, but I don't want that. It'll be sticky and pithy, and no, the answer is a hard no. I have mail. Do I? I'll have to go and have a look. I wonder if liquid RIT goes bad. I have half a bottle on the top of my fridge. I have no idea. I can imagine it would do. Dye does go off. And if it's already liquidized, I don't know the word. If it's already liquid, it will probably go off faster than if it was a powder. So get gel food dye, not the liquid food coloring. It's totally up to you. They will all work. But I don't know if you've seen, Abby and I did a video many years ago making a speckly Christmas yarn, and we used the liquid food coloring for that, and it was fine. A very, very long time ago, in my spinning fun times, back before I was working so hard, I actually dyed up a pot of pillar box red. I had vinegar in the pot and lots of pillar box red, and dyed all these red fibers. So I had silk and angora and wool, and then I blended them together on a drum carder, and I knit it. I think I knitted up a cow, and it's still bright red. But I don't. This is the thing. The food coloring, I don't know how color fast really is, like long term. Now my pillar box red cow is still bright red, but that's because it gets washed very infrequently because I very rarely wear it. It's quite warm because of all the Angora, which I didn't realize. Gail Smith is Outback Queensland. Gail, if you want to get your pack from me with your undyed yarn, I'll make sure it's got citric acid in it. It's opened and 4 years old. Mine's not opened yet. I don't know. Check. It should have a use by date. Contact Rit. I don't know. Chaos Creator says, for those not in Australia, you could buy bear yarn from Knit Picks. Absolutely. Kim has got the link there. That is an affiliate link. So if you decide to buy your bear yarn from Knit Picks, I will still get a little commission. It's tiny, but it's a little one, and it's better, you know, Knit Picks. Go hard. Oh, Knit Picks even with a K. Yes. Let's use it right. Can you replace citric acid with Tim? If you want to buy a yarn pack from me in Australia and you want me to add if you want to order anything from Fiberific and you want it shipped to the US and you want me to add Tim Tams or mint slice or something like that, add it in your message. I'll send you your options, because they're normally about 200 to 250 grams a pack. So sometimes it pushes you into a next postage zone. So, you know, I'll make sure you know before I do anything. Question about liquid dye going off. What would you do with it? Depends on the dye. Look, I tend to tip it out of my garden. I don't like to tip it down the drain. I know it's just as bad tipping it in my garden, but I don't really know what the best options are, honestly. I usually make sure that it's pH neutral and then just tip it out in the garden. That's what I do. Oh, keep going. Oh, there we go. Thinking. Okay. Just Melissa says dye kits. Yes, please. Leanne says I have a little amount as I make chili jam yearly, so I'm good for citric acid. It's inexpensive. I brought mine from Big W. Oh yeah, you can just get like a little pot of citric acid because it's food grade. The stuff I use is food grade citric acid. It's like a couple of bucks, and you only need, like, you know, if you're doing a couple of 100 grams, you only need 1 single tablespoon. You don't need heaps. There we go. Bendigo has 100 grams of undyed sock yarn for $14. There you go. That's an option. I'm skipping some stuff here, you guys. You guys are the worst. Oh, dear. In the quantities you have, it's probably okay down the drain if you're on a sewer network, but not if you're on a septic tank. Absolutely. Like, that's definitely something you have to take into consideration if you are on septic, because that changes everything. John says it's available in the canning aisle of your favorite store that sells canning stuff. Citric acid is used in so many things. Honestly, it's everywhere. It's grocery stores, it's baking sections, it's canning sections, it's cleaning sections, it's beauty sections, because it's citric acid is used in making all like your bath bombs and stuff like that. Makes your skin soft. It's really nice. There we go. Jackie says I used to work for the waste section of the council. So Jackie knows. I've always just erred on the side of caution because I'm tipping out a lot. Makes my grass really green. I've got some citric acid already, but I can get it for free if I need any more. Good to know. All right, so what I'm going to do is I will have a look at the calendar, plan out some dates, put a couple of pack options together for those that are willing to purchase your yarn from me. I have got some like DK or lace weight or sock yarn or mohair silk blends, all undyed. I'm just looking over there because that's where all the yarn is. Put together some packs and options for people. So if you wanted to dye a matching sock yarn and mohair, you could put one of each together in a pack, and you know, that sort of thing. Freaky says, I'll be there for the live dye, but sadly I'll have to set up an area outside for my own dyeing. Okay. So the advantage of the kind of dyeing that we're doing is if you have a kitchen cooker, because I'm contemplating just setting up over the top of my kitchen cooker, honestly. Just set up, because you can just use a normal saucepan. There's nothing toxic. It's all food grade, and just one little pan with a bit of water on a kitchen cooker. And that's all you really need to do. I'm waiting on my Knit Picks order to arrive. I love hand dyeing, but don't want to get caught up in doing big quantities to sell. I love dyeing different techniques. Alison, that's how I started. I was just dyeing random stuff, and then people were like, oh, do you have any sweater quantities? And I was just like, oh, no, I really don't. And they're like, oh, I'd really love this in a sweater quantity. And you just feel like, okay, I'll make you a sweater quantity. And that's sort of how it started. And now I've got to pull it back in again. So it's hard. It's a hard decision, but that's the decision I've had to make. Sally says, my dyes landscapes I've now made into liquid. I think some have gone off as I haven't used them in a while. And that's a possibility. They could go down the toilet or down the sink. If you're using food colors, you cannot dye cotton with it, just FYI. No. If food coloring is an acid dye situation, which is the citric acid, it's not like, bad acid. Yeah, so you definitely need to use a protein base, so wool, silks, nylons, that sort of thing. Leanne said, this is awesome. I'm excited to do some yarn dyeing. I want to see what we all come up with and what we do. And this is the thing, like, I'm definitely going to be making a couple of colors, using a few different colorways with the food colorings that I have. But you will end up with some gorgeous things that are totally different because your food coloring could be different. Like, I mean, how many food coloring companies out there are there? There's like 11 billion. You've got so many choices. And you won't need much either, so you could pick a few colors. More bottles of RIT from Freaky. Yeah, if you're going to use RIT, that's more of an outside job. I would not dye RIT in the house. I also wouldn't use RIT on any saucepans that you will be using for food. That's a personal thing. I don't know if it's a technical thing. But yeah, definitely. And that's why I'm going food coloring for this particular project, is it's a lot more accessible to most people. Now, Kim, you can use silk, right? So you could still dye up some silk. I've probably got a skein or two of silk here if you want to do some silk. But yeah, if you are like super allergic to all animal fibers and you have to make it in cotton, then this probably isn't going to work. And I would highly recommend getting your hands on some earth palette dyes. I've got a set. I haven't used them yet. I have some undyed cotton, but I haven't tried. But this particular live stream is going to be on food dye, so I won't be able to help with RIT suggestions or the cotton suggestions during this particular live. Yeah, my throat is getting raspy, you guys. Do you know what? I don't think the new TV's arrived. Just saying, because it was supposed to come during a live stream. And Tim, we moved the TV that was in the lounge room into our bedroom. We've since worked out it can't go where it is because it's blocking the air conditioner. That's how tall that one is. So we're like, okay, we're going to have to move some things around in the bedroom to move that chest of drawers out from under the air conditioner. But yeah, there's a lot of things going on in my house, and it's very dusty. So my allergies have just really just gone insane. My husband's in there trying to deal with all the dust, but he's also working. So at least it's better than Kool-Aid dyeing that Nick Crate sent out once. I saw that, and how do I put this? Kool-Aid dyeing is fun, right? It's a bit of fun. But if you are buying a knit, like a yarn, hand-dyed yarn subscription, you want that yarn already dyed, man. You don't want to be having to do it yourself. It's like a deconstructed hand-dyed yarn. No. Oh, my God. Also, Kool-Aid's full of sugar. It's so full of sugar that you end up with sticky yarn and you have to rinse and rinse and rinse and rinse so much to not have sticky yarn. Oh, I mean, look, I like the colors and you can get some really pretty colors and, you know, you've got to deal with that side of it. But no, that's a hard no from me. Hard no from me. Freaky still has his kit. Absolutely. Oh, John had a girlfriend at high school who used to dye her guinea pigs with Kool-Aid. Oh my gosh. I've still got my yarn from that, but not the Kool-Aid. Hubby drank it as he wanted to try it. Well, you've got some undyed yarn sitting there, right? Like, you can try that for sure. Wow. Lolling at the not a euphemism. I'm just having a look here at some of the stuff that I've made. So I've been making like lots of things for our stream here. So yeah, I'm just checking one I need to do is I need to fix the end screen. It's too short. So on the old system, it used to just loop. So I didn't have to worry about how long it was. This new one doesn't loop. So yeah. Okay, so if you're using liquid food coloring, you'll get much less intense colors and need lots more. You're better off going for gel or powders. Yes, absolutely. In saying that, if you're doing just a couple of skeins of yarn, one single bottle of liquid will do you, unless you're like going insane vibrance. So yeah, but it will come down to what you want. And the other thing is, you can always over dye it. If something comes out paler than what you want and you're not happy, you can always try and over dye it. So that's always a good thing to do. Freaky says, I'm still thinking about tossing that Kool-Aid in the bin. I mean, that's your choice. Sally says, yep, and from the yarn retreat too. Oh yeah, absolutely. So for those that came to the Fiberific retreat that we had in April, I can't believe it's months ago now. It doesn't feel like months ago. We did some solar dyeing, and that was just citric acid, food coloring, water in a glass jar outside in the sun. And everyone ended up with so much, like even people who use the same colors ended up with really different yarns. It was beautiful. That was fun. Oh, Sally says I froze for a minute, but still had sound. Really? That's bizarre. I didn't get any messages. Like I've got all my excellence, all the excellent things of excellent. I don't know. I can't answer that question. It happens. It's live streaming, baby. That's what happens when we live stream. John saw it as well. Yeah. Freaky Geek wants to know where I can get powders. If you look up any local cake decorating companies, they generally have food dye powder. It's fantastic. I've got one that Chopper has sent me. No. I will send you. I'll put some information into the fun zone, and with some links. And I'll be using some of that one, which is I think I've got some green. It's a nice dark green. In that particular colorway. We'll see. Might even make something Christmassy. The other thing is you can mix and match. So if you've got like one powder and a liquid or a powder and a gel, you can totally mix and match them. So yes. Personally, I prefer to keep the brands together, but I don't know if that's science or just me. It could totally be me. Okay, I've got a whole heap of wool yarn from my mum's stash. It's light colors. I'm going to skein up and play with over dyeing. Absolutely. Quite a few years ago, Spotlight had this massive sale, and they had all this 4-ply grey yarn that was a light grey. Nobody wanted it. And it had like 10 50-gram balls in a pack. They were reduced. And I think the packs came down to like $5 a pack. And then they had one of those ridiculous 40% off anything in store. So you could load your trolley up with like $100 worth of these $5 packs and then take $40 off it. So I got like a ridiculous amount of this light gray and light blue yarn it was nice enough soft 4-ply. And I dyed heaps of that for so long, like before I started buying commercial yarn. I didn't sell that. That was just for me. But yeah. I think Big W and Spotlight have Wilton gels in the cake decorating sections. They do, yes. How many grams were you thinking of putting into the kits? So I'm thinking of options. There'll be options. So people can just have 100 grams of their choice of 4-ply, 8-ply, or 50 grams of a mohair silk. Or they can have 2 or whatever. There'll be options. There'll be options. So yeah, and I'll make sure there's enough citric acid in there for however much yarn you've chosen if you're within Australia. Otherwise, get yourself your own citric acid. I did a couple of dye workshops last week using Wilton's gel. They're around $6 each at Big W and Spotlight, but you don't need much. Like, that's the thing. As in the size, 50 grams or 100 grams, it will depend on the yarn basis, but I generally work in 100 grams skeins. So yeah. Does food coloring dye need to be set with salt or something? No. Nope. It'll set with citric acid. Knitspin Girl says, love overdying grey. Yeah, you get really good depth of color. Some of my dye, like yarns that I dye for Fiberific, I actually dye them grey first and then dye them another color. Freaky says, I'll need Tim Tams in place of citric acid. Okay. Knitspin Girl says a half a teaspoon of Wilton's gel for any 100 grams of yarn. That will depend on the vibrancy that you want. So like, what kind of level of saturation does that give you, Knitspin Girls? Is that like a full bright color across the entire skein? So that's what the question. So that's what the questionable powder is for. Yeah. You have to create an acid base, which is what the citric acid does. And then you create your acid base, and it actually sucks the dye into your yarn and color sets it. So yeah, that's what the acid's for. Salt does not help with setting wool dye at all. Not even a little bit. Nope. Don't need salt at all. Salt actually inhibits dye from absorbing into yarn. So, and when you're yarn dyeing and you're using salt, it's because you want a full, you want the yarn to be, you want the dye to be absorbed much slower, so that you get a solid. You don't get a semi-solid. You can't make speckles with it. But yeah, it slows down the absorption. Normally, if you're trying to get dye into your wool, you have to actually use salt and acid for that to happen. So not in your face, but pretty saturated. There you go. But yeah, half a teaspoon's all right. You still have to soak the yarn before you start, right? Yes, you do have to soak the yarn before you start. I'd love to try and break some colors. Yeah. Wilton's purple. One of the Wilton's purples breaks really well. I thought salt was usually used for cotton and plant dye setting. Yes, it is. So salt for plant dyes color sets the plant dyes, the protein, not the protein dyes. My brain's not giving me the right word. Anyway, cellulose. Salt color sets on cellulose. Salt on protein fibers actually slows down the absorption, which means you get a more solid base. But it takes a lot longer. It actually slows things down, not speeds it up. Salt stops dye like it stops ghosties. I'm learning so much. And this is the difference. There's a difference between cellulose dyeing and protein dyeing. They're two totally different processes. Cellulose dyeing requires salt. Protein dye does not. So yeah. There's currently a 12-color Wilton set at Spotlight for $36. If you have a few locals, you could share a pack. Oh, how fun would that be, you all dyeing together? That would be awesome. If you could do that, have a couple of friends together, dyeing together. My other suggestion is cling wrap your benches. If you're working in your own kitchen, food coloring does stain. And I highly recommend just running some cling wrap or glad wrap or whatever you want to call it. Like the wraps that you put, saran wrap. I don't know what you guys call it in the US. And just run it across your benches and just stick it down on your benches. Just wipe your bench with a wet cloth and then put your glad wrap down. I'll show you all how to do that later. But yeah. Knitspin says Violet breaks beautifully. That's what my workshop was. Dip dyeing to break the colors. That sounds fun. Nice idea from Kim. Yeah. Or buy a plastic tablecloth. Absolutely. You can buy a plastic tablecloth for sure. Or a painter's drop sheet from Bunnings. I did a lot of stuff where I dyed 80% bamboo and 20% wool blend with landscape dyes and lost a lot of color because it didn't dye the bamboo. And this is the thing, it will stain your bamboo. It will stain it a little bit, but stains wash out eventually. Buy new furniture. Yeah, I mean, that's always an option. Just do your dyeing and then replace your kitchen benches. I mean, I personally, if it gets stuck on the bench, I just give it a bit of a scrub and it comes out. Sally has cheap shower curtains that she lays down. Yeah, there are so many options. There's so many options. So I'll put together a little info sheet thing, package, stuff for the website, all that kind of thing. It'll take me a little while. We're looking at not doing it for at least a month, okay? Just because we've got to allow for shipping times and all that kind of stuff. But we will get it done and it will happen soon, okay? So definitely soon. John says, I rent, so I don't care about dye. If you rented in Australia, you'd care. They just keep all your bond. Dan, got to run. Not sure if I'll be back. Take care. Bye, Freaky. Have a good time. Also, an old waterproof shower curtain for the bench works really well. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to double check it's a waterproof shower curtain. One of those nice fabricy ones like what I've got. It's not going to do it. Yeah. I'm a bit of a fan of Jif on my benches, like a cream cleanser. Works up a treat, gets it off. It just adds character. All right, guys, it is actually after 12. It's time for me to go. It appears I have tons of work to do again, making pretty things for us to play with to get all this ready. And yeah, so I will see you all next week here for the live stream. Keep an eye on the fun zone. I'll also put some stuff up in a blog post on the website, and there'll be a product in the website for where you can buy your kits, which I'll get all that out there once it's all ready. It's not ready yet. And we will go from there. We'll get it all sorted and we'll plan a date and we're going to do this. Let's do this. 5,000 people party. So have an awesome time. Night, y'all. Stay safe. Have a great week. Everybody, I'll see you later. Bye.